Hello everyone, welcome to Prasad's Academy. In this session, we are going to study very important current affairs of September first week. So let's move on to the first news here. Union Minister Piyush Goyal. Who is Piyush Goyal? He is the Union Minister who is responsible for commerce and industry. He addressed the Association of Southeast Asian Nations, that is ASEAN, Indian Business Council virtual meet. He also extended India's friendship and partnership with Asian countries and expected to achieve $300 billion trade through business. So who is Piyush Goyal? He is a Union Minister responsible for the commerce and industry. And ASEAN is what is the full form of ASEAN? Association of Southeast Asian Nations, and its Secretary General is H.E. Datolim Jakoy, and its headquarters is in Jakarta, Indonesia. Moving towards the next news. Indian Railways is set to meet its energy consumption, which will be over 300 billion units by 2030. So the discussion is aimed to achieve the ambitious plan of Indian Railways to achieve 100% electrification of railways by 2023. So railways are planning to use solar energy to meet its traction power requirements and to become a complete green mode of transport. This is done. It is to be done by 2030. And here you have to remember the Union Minister responsible for railways is, as we discussed, he is Piyush Goyal, and who is the Minister of State responsible for the railways, and his name is Suresh Angodi Channabasappa. So Union Minister is Piyush Goyal and the Minister of State for Railways is Suresh Angodi Channabasappa. Moving towards the next. Here, 41st GST Council meeting, which is chaired by Nirmala Sitharaman. Who is Nirmala Sitharaman? Nirmala Sitharaman is the Union Minister responsible for the finance to India, and they discussed compensation for the loss of revenue to states. And here you have to remember the addition, and this was chaired by whom? This was chaired by Nirmala Sitharaman, who is the finance minister. Moving towards the next news. Niti Aayog launched the India component of the Nationally Determined Contributions, that is NDC Transport Initiative for Asia. And here NDCTIA, it will focus on establishing a decarbonizing transport and support greenhouse in India. And Niti Aayog is over here, and Niti Aayog's CEO is Amitabh Kant, and its headquarters is in Delhi. Moving towards the next news. The government of Maldives launched India-backed infrastructure projects, and it is being executed by HDC through an approximate 10 million Maldivian Rupee. So here amount is very important. The grant assistance from India. This project is executed by HDC. What is HDC? Housing Development Corporation Limited, through approximately 10 million Maldivian Rupee from India. So Maldivian capital is Mal, currency is Maldivian Rupiah, president is Ibrahim Soli. Moving towards the next news. If you observe the picture what we have here in this slide, he is Shinzo Abe, who is the PM of Japan, and he resigned to his post due to health issues. So Japan's capital is Tokyo and currency is yen. Next news. In Jammu and Kashmir, one campaign is launched, and the name of the campaign is Irada. And why this has been launched? To cover eligible left out beneficiaries under social welfare schemes. So moving towards the next news. The Uttar Pradesh Expressway Industrial Development Authority, that is UPEIDA, signed a a deal with a consortium of 6 banks led by BOB for funding construction of Bundelkhand Expressway project. So this project name is important, and this has been signed by whom is very important, and it is for the 6th bank, and these banks are led by BOB. And consortium of banks includes like BOB, Union Bank of India, Bank of Maharashtra, Indian Bank, Bank of India, and UCO Bank. But it is led by BOB only. So UPEIDA is there, and its headquarters is in Lucknow. And CEO is Avanish Kumar. Avanish Kumar. Moving towards the next news. Kerala CM Pinarayi Vijayan inaugurates state's first marine ambulance, and the name of the marine ambulance is Pratiksha. So the name of the ambulance is very important. So this will become state's first marine ambulance, which is launched in Kochi, and this has been inaugurated by the Kerala CM Pinarayi Vijayan. Moving towards the next. He is A.R. Lakshmanan. He is the former Supreme Court judge, and he passed away recently. Moving towards the next. She is Archana Mahata. She was the veteran Assamese folk singer, and she passed away recently. She is Ayaka Takashi. She is from Japan, and she won gold medal. That is the Japan's first gold medal in badminton, and she got the gold medal in Rio Olympics in 2016, and she announced her retirement recently. Moving towards the next. Bayern Munich, the German football club, won their 6th championship in the Union of European Football Association, that is UEFA Championships League, that is 2019 to 2020. So the edition is very important, and the championship name is very important, and this has been won by whom? That is Bayern Munich, German football club, won this particular champion. So here you have to remember UEFA. Its headquarters is in Nyon, Switzerland, and the president is Alexander Caffrey. Moving towards the next news. He is Juane Bravo, and he is the West Indies cricketer, and he becomes the first bowler to scalp 500 wickets in T20s. So this is the very important news you have to remember. So this person's name is Juane Bravo. Moving towards the next slide. If you observe the picture what we have here, he is Tharanga Paranavithana. He is a Sri Lankan cricketer, and he retires from the international cricket. So, Narendra Singh Tomar launched the integration of SBI YONO Krishi platform with government's online seed portal, Indian Council of Agriculture Research, and Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. So, here this SBI YONO Krishi platform is linked with this particular portal, that is Indian Council of Agriculture Research and Indian Institute of Horticulture Research. And why this linking is done is to help the farmers in increasing the crop production along with the crop equality and income generation. Moving towards the next news. He is Vinay Tonse, and he is recently appointed as the MD and CEO of SBI Funds Management Private Limited, and he replaced Ashwani Bhatia, who is recently appointed as the Managing Director of SBI. You should not be confused, like Vinay M. Tonse is appointed as the MD and CEO of SBI Funds Management Private Limited, and Ashwini Bhatia was serving as a MD and CEO of SBI Funds, but now Ashwani Bhatia is now appointed as the Managing Director of SBI. So SBI Funds Management Private Limited, this headquarters is in Mumbai, and MD and CEO is Vinay M. Tonse. Moving towards the next news. Department of Economic Affairs and UNDP India launched a Sustainable Finance Collaborative to promote sustainable finance in India. Your question will be something like this in examinations, like to promote sustainable finance in India, which are the two things got collaborated? And your answer should be Department of Economic Affairs and UNDP India. UNDP India headquarters is in New York, USA, and administrator is Achim Steno. Moving towards the next news. Ravi Shankar Prasad. Who is Ravi Shankar Prasad? He is the Union Minister responsible for Meity, and he launched Next Generation Startup Challenge contest. So the name of the contest is Chunati. And why this contest has been inaugurated? To encourage startups and software products with a special focus on Tier 2 towns. This has been done. So the context name is very important, and it is being launched by whom and why it is being launched is very important. Moving towards the next news. HRD Minister. Who is the HRD Minister? Ramesh Pokhriyal is the HRD Minister, and he addressed the session of 2 days World Urdu Conference, which was organized by National Council for the Promotion of Urdu Language, that is NCPUL. NCPUL headquarters is in Delhi and the chairman is Ramesh Pokhriyal. Moving towards the next slide. India granted fourth tranche of $5 million to Myanmar. And why India is granted to Myanmar? For India-Myanmar border area developments. Myanmar capital is Naypyidaw and currency is Burmese kyat. President is Win Myint. Moving towards the next news. Kerala to set up India's first international women's trade center. Your question will be like this in your examinations. Which state sets up India's first international women's trade center in India? And your answer should be Kerala. Moving towards the next news. Here, India and Singapore carried out a review of their defense ties at the virtual meet of the 14th India-Singapore Defense Policy Dialogue. And Singapore PM is Lee Hsien Loong. Currency is Singapore dollar. Moving towards the next news. He is Piyush Goyal. He is the Railway Minister, and he virtually attended 8th East Asia Summit Economic Ministers Meeting, that is EASEMM. Who is Piyush Goyal? He is the Railways and Commerce and Industry Minister. So this meeting was attended by the economic ministers from all the 10 Asian member states. Moving towards the next slide. India co-sponsors UNSC resolution for greater participation of women in peacekeeping forces. And here UNSC, what is UNSC? And its headquarters is in New York, and the President Council is Indonesia. So here you have to remember, till August 2020 it was Indonesia, but from September 2020 it is Niger. So who is the President Council of UNSC now? Niger. Moving towards the next slide. India ranked 72nd on global list with the average monthly wage of 32,800, and Switzerland tops the list. So the name of the list is very important, and India's rank, who tops the list, is very important over here. Moving towards the next slide. He is Kiren Rijiju. Who is the Kiren Rijiju? He is the Minister of State responsible for the sports. He is the sports minister. He attends the meeting of BRICS nation and India to host BRICS Games 2021 with Khelo India Games. So here the theme for the year 2020 is very important. So the theme for the year 2020 is BRICS Partnership for Global Stability, Shared Security and Innovative Growth. Moving towards the next slide. United Nations International Day Against Nuclear Test is observed annually on August 29th. So the date, and it is being celebrated as what is very important over here. Moving towards the next slide. National Sports Day is annually observed on 29th August, and why this day is celebrated as National Sports Day? To commemorate the birth anniversary of Indian hockey legend Major Dhyan Chand Singh. So this news is very important. Moving towards the next news. Indian cricket coach Gurcharan Singh. So he is Gurcharan Singh. If you just observe the picture what we have here, he co-authored his memoir, and the name of the memoir is Pitching It Straight with MS Onni Krishnan. Moving towards the next slide. He is Purushottam Rai, and he was the athletics coach, and he passed away recently. Moving towards the next slide. He is Vasanta Kumar. He was serving as the MP in the Congress party, and he is also the founder of Vasant TV, and he passed away recently. Moving towards the next. The Brian brothers. So these two are the Brian brothers, who the 42-year-old identical twins, and their names are Robert Charles Bob Brian and Michael Carl Mike Brian, and that's why we call them as the Brian brothers. And they are the twins. They are the most successful American doubles tennis players, and they announced their retirement from the professional circuit with the immediate effect. Moving towards the next news. Aries astronomers Dr. Amitesh Omar and Dr. Sumit Jaiswal, they are from the Department of Science and Technology of Aryabhatta Research Institute of Observational Sciences, that is Aries, and they discovered the aberration in the formations of the stars in dwarf galaxies while studying several such galaxies. So here the astronomer's name is very important, and they belongs to which department is very important. Moving towards the next slide. China launched the first of the 4 advanced naval ships. So the name of the naval ship, that is the Type 054, is very important. This is the class frigates they developed for the Pakistan Navy. So China is developed the naval warships. The name of the naval warship is Type 054 for the Pakistan Navy. This is manufactured by China Shipbuilding Trading Company Limited, and it is launched in Chinese state-owned Hudong Zhonghua Shipyard, Shanghai. So moving towards the next slide. The Central Industrial Security Force. So this headquarters is in Delhi, and the Director General is Rajesh Ranjan. So CISF has created and launched Pensioners Corner. So this is the name of the app launched by CISF, and why this is being launched? To get in touch with the pensioners and to bring them to digital platform as a one-stop solution. This is being launched. So moving towards the next slide. SBI to receive Brandon Human Capital Management Excellence Award. So the name of the award is very important. So who is receiving this award? SBI is receiving. So this award is also known as Academy Awards of Learning and Development. So this is the 2020th award. Sorry, this is 2020th year an award, which is a global recognition for its HR initiative. So the name of the initiative is Nayi Disha. So this is the initiative of SBI, and that's why SBI is receiving this award. Moving towards the next news. She is Noor Inayat Khan. She is the Britain's World War II spy who is honored with the memoir Blue Plague, and she is the first Muslim war heroine of Britain and the first female wireless operator sent from UK into Nazi-occupied France to aid the French resistance during the World War II. So she is been awarded or honored with what is very important over here. So she is awarded with, or she is honored with, Blue Plague. Moving towards the next slide. Canara HSBC OBC Life Insurance and Andhra Pragati Gramina Bank entered into a strategic partnership through the virtual conference to offer life insurance. So this is very important. Why these two are entered into a partnership? To offer the life insurance products. So here, if you just observe Andhra Pragati Gramina Bank is there, and its headquarters or head office is in Kadapa. And its chairman is Venkata Reddy. And Canara HSBC headquarters is in Gurugram. MD and CEO is Anuj Mathur. Moving towards the next slide. He is Piyush Goyal. Who is Piyush Goyal? He is the Union Minister responsible for Commerce and Industry and Railways. He virtually co-chaired the 17th Association of Southeast Asian Nations India Economic Ministers Consultation. So this particular association was chaired by the Minister of Commerce, that is Piyush Goyal, and the Minister of Industry and Trade of Vietnam, Tran Thuan. And if you just observe, ASEAN is there. So the full form of ASEAN is Association of Southeast Asian Nations. So it was the meeting of all 10 Asian countries like Brunei, Cambodia, Indonesia, Laos, Malaysia, Myanmar, Philippines, and Singapore, Thailand, Vietnam. So 2020 chairmanship of ASEAN is Vietnam. So secretariat is Jakarta, Indonesia. Jakarta, Indonesia. Moving towards the next slide. He is Nitin Gadkari. Who is he? He is a Union Minister responsible for the road transport and highways. He lays foundation stone for the road projects worth 777 crore rupees. So the amount is very important over here. Moving towards the next slide. The 6th International Military Technical Forum, that is Army 2020, was held between August 23rd to August 29th, 2020, and where it's been held at the Patriot Park near Moscow, Russia. So this was organized by Russian Defense Ministry, and this was operated by International Congress and Exhibitions Limited. So Russia's capital and currency is very important over here. So Russia's capital is Moscow. Currency is Russian ruble. President is Vladimir Putin. Moving towards the next slide. The first meeting of the BRICS sports ministers. So this was the first meeting under the Russian BRICS chairmanship took place through video conference. So BRICS 2020 chairmanship is Russia. So previously we just came through that the ASEAN, that is the Asia, Southeast Asian nations. So ASEAN 2020 chairmanship is Vietnam. BRICS 2020 chairmanship is Russia. You should not be confused over here. So moving towards the next slide. Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced in Mann Ki Baat to celebrate the September 2020 as Poshan Ma. What is the Poshan Ma? Nutrition Month. So the Prime Minister Narendra Modi announced in the Mann Ki Baat to celebrate the September 2020 as the Poshan Ma, which is also called as a Nutrition Month. Moving towards the next slide. He is Ravi Shankar Prasad. He is the ex-Indian ambassador and the chairman of Delhi Policy Group, and he passed away recently. Moving towards the next slide. He is a Chadwick Boseman and he was the Black Panther star, and he passed away recently. Moving towards the next. She is Dr. S. Padmavati. She is India's first female and the oldest cardiologist who is the founder of AIHF and NHI, and she was also a Padma Shri awardee, and she passed away because of coronavirus. Moving towards the next news. India and Russia declared joint winners of 2020 Online FIDE Chess Olympiad. So here what happened is, initially Russia was declared as the winners after two Indian players lost out due to disconnection in the server, but when India raised protest against the decision, then gold medals were given to both India and Russia by FIDE. Moving towards the next slide. He is a Formula 1 champion and his name is Mercedes Lewis Hamilton, and he won the Belgian Grand Prix 2020 and he won this title for the fourth time. Moving towards the next slide. The UAE launched Agriota, which is a new technology-driven agri-commodity trading and sourcing e-market platform. So UAE capital is Abu Dhabi and currency is UAE dirham. President is Sheikh Khalifa bin Zayed Al Nahyan. Moving towards the next slide. The Department of Telecommunications and SEBI has given approval to Reliance Jio Infocomm to sell its units worth 25,215 crore rupees in Tower Infrastructure Trust to Brookfield Infrastructure Partners Limited. And here you have to remember Brookfield Infrastructure Partners headquarters. So this Brookfield Infrastructure Partners headquarters is in Toronto, Canada. CEO is Sam Pallock. Moving towards the next slide. Hyderabad-based Rajiv Gandhi International Airport won the National Energy Leader and Excellent Energy Efficient Unit Awards at the 21st National Awards for the Excellence in the Energy Management. So this is grabbed by Rajiv Gandhi International Airport, which is in Hyderabad. Moving towards the next slide. Vedanta ties with the SBI. Why this partnership is done? For the long-term syndicated loan of 10,000 crore rupees. This partnership is done. So Vedanta's headquarters is in Mumbai. So CEO is Sunil Dukkal and SBI headquarters is in Mumbai. Its chairman is Rajneesh Kumar. Moving towards the next slide. Ministry of Defence signed contracts with BEML, Tata Power Company Limited and L&T. So why this agreement is signed? For the supply of 6 Pinaka regiments to the Regiment of Artillery of Indian Army at an approximate cost of 2,580 crore rupees. This agreement is signed between Ministry of Defence with the BEML, Tata Power Company Limited and L&T. Moving towards the next news. He is Rajnath Singh. Who is Rajnath Singh? He is the Defence Minister and he launched Shwani COVID Yodha Surakshan Yojana. So the name of the Yojana is very important, which is a life insurance scheme through the LIC, which will help more than 10,000 employees working in the military cantonment areas across the India. And the next news. He is the Japan Prime Minister and his name is Shinzo Abe, and they extended an emergency support loan of 50 billion Japanese yen to support India's response to the COVID-19 crisis. So this news is very important. Your question will be something like this in your examination. So Japan granted dash support to India for the COVID-19 crisis, and your answer should be 50 billion Japanese yen, not the 50 billion Indian currency. It is 50 billion Japanese yen. Moving towards the next slide, and here you have to remember Japan's capital and currency. So Japan's capital is Tokyo, currency is Japanese yen. Moving towards the next slide. India, Japan and Australia agreed to launch a trilateral supply chain resilience initiative in the Indo-Pacific region. And why this trilateral initiative is done? Just to help in the building a resilient supply chain with a focus on free, transparent trade and investment environment in the region. This has been done. So here you have to remember Australia's capital. So Australia's capital is Canberra and the currency is Australian dollar. And again Japan's capital is Tokyo, currency is Japanese yen. Moving towards the next slide. He is, if you just observe the picture what we have here, he is Gidugu Venka Ramamurthy. He is the Telugu writer. So to commemorate his birth anniversary, August 29th, every year is celebrated as Telugu Language Day. Moving towards the next slide. National Nutrition Week is an annual nutrition week which is observed in India during the first week of September, that is 1st September to 7th September. So you have to remember the name of the week. So that is the National Nutrition Week. Moving towards the next news. He is the Bollywood filmmaker and his name is Karan Johar, and he authored a children's picture book titled The Big Thoughts of Little Love. So here the name of the book is very important, and he inspired by his twins Yash and Rochi. And the next news, he is Pranab Mukherjee and he was the former president and the Bharat Ratna awardee, and he passed away recently, which is a big loss for us. Moving towards the next slide. Indian Railways has developed a remote control medical trolley. So the name of the trolley is very important. The name of the trolley is MedBooth. So why this has been developed? To deliver the food medicines to COVID-19 patients, and this has been developed by Indian Railways. So the name of the trolley you have to remember over here. Moving towards the next slide. ICICI Prudential Life Insurance Company Limited has introduced an AI-powered voice chatbot, Lego, and this is launched on which platform? On Google Assistant. So ICICI head office is in Mumbai and MD and CEO is NS Kannan. And the next news. If you just observe the picture what we have here, it is the world's largest solar tree which is in Durgapur, and this is developed by CSIR-CMERY. What is the full form of this? The Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Central Mechanical Engineering Research Institute. Moving towards the next slide. He is Hemant Khatri and he was assumed charged as the Chairman and the Managing Director of Hindustan Shipyard Limited, and he succeeds the Admiral L.V. Sharath Babu. Moving towards the next slide. He is Pramod Chandra Modi and he gets the 6-month extension as the Chairman of CBDT. What is CBDT? Central Board of Direct Taxes. And the next news. The SBI Eco-Wrap report. So the name of the report is very important, and they estimated the India's GDP for the financial year 2021 and is expected to shrink by around 10.9%, that is in the negative, minus 10.9%, to witness the negative real growth. This has been done. Moving towards the next slide. According to the official data released by NSO, Union Ministry of Statistics and the Program Implementation, India's GDP to contract by 23.9%, that is minus 23.9% in April-June period, quarter of 2020. And why this is done? Due to downfall in the business and livelihood due to COVID-19. So these points you have to remember. So according to this report, that is SBI Eco-Wrap report, it was India's GDP was, that is India's GDP for the 2021. They estimated the GDP and the GDP is 10.9% and that is in negative. So according to the Union Ministry of Statistics and Program Implementation, which is released by NSO, India's GDP for this April-June 2020, that is 23.9%. Moving towards the next slide. So here the name of the report is very important over here. So the report says the fraud and the risk management in the digital payments has been jointly developed by NASSCOM's Data Security Council of India and the PayPal Payments Private Limited. So what this report will do? So this report will give a glimpse of growth of frauds and the payments in digital India. Moving towards the next slide. The European Investment Bank, that is EIB, will invest 650 million euro in the construction of UP's Kanpur's first city metro line. So the amount is very important over here. EIB, that is the European Investment Bank, and its headquarters is in Luxembourg. and the president is Werner Hoyer. Moving towards the next slide. The Ministry of Home Affairs released an annual report. So the name of the report is Accidental Deaths and Suicides in India for the 2019, and the Delhi recorded the highest number of road accidents among the cities. Moving towards the next slide. The Institute of Chartered Accounts of India, that is ICAI, plans to come out with a detailed set of forensic accounting and investigation standards by the end of December 2020. So this will make India's first country to release the set of standards for the forensic accounting and the investigation. And the next news. CFI, that is the Cycling Federation of India, is set to host the first ever cycling summit in 2021 in Delhi, Mumbai and Bangalore. So CFI headquarters is in Delhi and its president is Parminder Singh Dinsa. Parminder Singh Dinsa. Moving towards the next slide. He is, if you just observe the picture, what we have here is Bhupendra Singh. He is the Madhya Pradesh Housing Minister, and he launched a cleanliness campaign, and the name of the campaign is Gandagi Bharat Chodo Madhya Pradesh. Moving towards the next slide. National Small Industry Day is observed annually on August 30th. And the next news. The World Coconut Day is observed on September 2nd, and why this day is celebrated? To create awareness about the importance, usage of coconut and its benefits across the world. This day is celebrated on September 2nd. Moving towards the next slide. He is a Hollywood actor and his name is Channing Tatum, and he is set to publish his first children's book. So the name of the book is The One and Only Sparkle. And the next news. Ramachandra Guha authored a new book. So the name of the book is The Commonwealth of Cricket, a lifelong love affair with the most subtle and sophisticated game known to humankind. So the name of the book is very important and the author is very important over here. And the next news. She is Victoria Remensburg, and she is the Olympic and the giant slalom monkey champion, and she retired at the age of 30th. Moving towards the next slide. She is Usha Pati and she is the IAS officer. She became the first woman Director General of Bureau of Civil Aviation Security. Moving towards the next slide. He is L.C. Goyal, and the appointment committee of cabinet headed the Prime Minister Narendra Modi approved the 1-year extension of L.C. Goyal as the CMD, that is the chairman and the managing director of India Trade Promotion Organization, that is ITPO. Moving towards the next slide. He is K. Padmakar. He is the director of Bharat Petroleum Corporation Limited, and he has been given additional charge as the chairman and the managing director of BPCL, and he succeeds D Rajkumar. Moving towards the next slide. IRDAI formed a 6-member working group, and this group was headed by Dinesh Pant, an appointed actuary of LIC, and why this has been done? To scrutinize the various aspects for allowing the life insurance companies to offer index-linked products. So IRDAI headquarters is in Hyderabad. Chairman is Dr. Subhash C. Kuntia. Subhash C. Kuntia. Moving towards the next slide. Amul becomes the first Indian dairy company to enter Robobank's Global Top 20 2020th list, and the Switzerland Nestle topped the list. Who tops the list? And India's rank is very important. So Amul becomes the first Indian to enter this particular list. Moving towards the next slide. Adani Green Energy Limited ranked as the world's largest solar power generation company by Mercom Capital. So according to the Mercom Capital, who is the world's largest that is the solar power generation company? And your answer should be Adani Green Energy Limited. Moving towards the next slide. Federal Bank and Innovati partnered to provide affordable options of Federal Bank debit cards by Innovati POS terminals. Federal Bank headquarters is in Aluva, Kerala. MD and CEO is Shyam Srinivasan. And Innoviti registered office is in Bangalore and CEO is Rajiv Agarwal. Rajiv Agarwal. Moving towards the next slide. Here MOU was signed between the Textiles Committee India and Nissenken Quality Evaluation Center Japan. So why this MOU is signed? It is being signed for improving the quality and testing of Indian textiles and clothing for the Japanese market, and this got approved by the Union Cabinet. Moving towards the next slide. Cabinet approved the Mission Karma Yogi National Program for the Civil Services Capacity Building worth 510.86 crore rupees. So the amount and the program name is very important. And the next news. The Sikkim celebrated the Pang Lapsol, which is a festival of cultural heritage and the historical importance. So the state name is very important over here. And the next slide. India ranks 48th in the 13th edition of Global Innovation Index 2020, which is released by WIPO, that is the World Intellectual Property Organization. So the India's rank is very important, and who ranked the top is very important. So Singapore tops the list, and WIPO, that is the World Intellectual Property Organization, this headquarters is in Geneva, Switzerland, and Director General is Darren Dunn. Moving towards the next slide. UK based THE, that is the Times Higher Education, released the World University Rankings 2021, in which Indian Institute of Science, Bengaluru, ranked among the 63 Indian institutions which were qualified for the rankings. So the overall top 3 universities are the University of Oxford, Stanford University, and the Harvard University. So these are the top 3 universities in the world's university rankings 2021. So the top 3 institutes in India is Indian Institute of Science, Bangalore, which is ranked between 301 to 350, Indian Institute of Technology, Ropar, which is ranked between 351 to 400, Indian Institute of Technology, Indore, which is ranked between 401 to 500. Moving towards the next slide. The United Nations Women and UNDP released a new data titled the From Insights to Actions, General Equality in the Wake of COVID-19, which states that the COVID-19 pandemic will have a negative impact on the women and will increase the poverty rate of women. So here UNDP is there. So its headquarters is in New York and the administrator is Achim Steno. Moving towards the next slide. Here MOU was signed between Rajasthan government and Sri Vallabha Peti International Group, and why this MOU was signed? To develop the projects for the textile, defense and aerospace. Next news. Here also MOU was signed between AP Industrial Infrastructure Corporation Limited and the CSIR IICT, that is Council of Scientific and Industrial Research, Indian Institute of Chemical Technology. Why this MOU was signed? To set up a bulk drug park in the state. This MOU was signed. Moving towards the next slide. Pope Francis is set to release the book Let Us Dream in 2020 December. So the name of the book and who is going to release, author is very important over here. Moving towards the next slide. He is David Capel. He is the former England cricketer and he passed away recently. Next news. The researchers from Kerala and West Bengal have identified Cystomus gracilis. So this is the new species of freshwater fish from Ganga. Moving towards the next slide. Adani Airport Holdings Limited has entered into an agreement to acquire 74% in Mumbai International Airports Limited. So Adani Airport Holdings Limited, this headquarters is in Ahmedabad. And the chairman is Gautam Adani. Moving towards the next slide. He is Mustafa Adib and he is appointed as the new Prime Minister of Lebanon. So Lebanon Prime Minister is, that is the President is Michael Huon. Prime Minister is Mustafa Adib, capital is Beirut, currency is Lebanese pound. Moving towards the next slide. He is VK Yadav. So if you just observe the picture what we have here, he is VK Yadav. ACC, that is the Appointments Committee of the Cabinet, has approved the organizational restructuring of Indian Railways and appointed the current chairman of Railway Board VK Yadav as the first ever CEO of Indian Railways. So along with the CEO post, he also holds the chairman post. Moving towards the next slide. He is Krishnan and he is appointed as the MD and CEO of Punjab and Sindh Bank and he replacing S. Ravi Shankar. Punjab and Sindh Bank non-executive chairman is Dr. Charan Singh and its headquarters is in New Delhi and the tagline is where service is a way of life. And the next news. He is Murali Ramakrishnan and RBI approved him as the MD and CEO of South Indian Bank. So this is the very important news you have to remember. Moving towards the next slide. He is Avik Sarkar, the Board of Directors of Press Trust of India, that is Press Trust of India PTI, announced that Avik Sarkar, who is the Editor Emeritus and the Vice Chairman of Anand Bazar Group of Publications, was elected as the new chairman of PTI and he is going to succeed Vijay Kumar Chopra. So this person's name and he is going to succeed whom is very important in this particular slide. Moving towards the next slide, and one more thing is like a PTI, that is the Press Trust of India. This headquarters is in Delhi. And the next news. Sudha Painuli, who is the Vice Principal of Ekalavya Model Residential Schools, which is established under the Ministry of Tribal Affairs, has been selected for the National Award of Teachers, that is the NAT 2020. So person's name is very important over here. And moving towards the next slide. Tripura receives the first island shipping cargo from Bangladesh under PIWTT. What is PIWTT? Protocol for Island Water Trade and Transit. So Bangladesh capital is Dhaka, currency is Taka and the president is Mohammad Abdul Hamid. Moving towards the next slide. 12th Mekong Ganga Corporation Senior Officials Meeting, and this meeting held virtually. So this edition is very important over here. And the next news. The Center of Cellular and the Molecular Platforms, that is the CCAMP, signed an MOU with the Indian-Sweden Healthcare Innovation Center. And why this MOU was signed? To identify and find innovations to make quality healthcare affordable and accessible for all. Moving towards the next slide. Saudi Arabia hosted G20 Foreign Ministers meeting from Riyadh and India proposed G20 principles on cross-border movement. So who proposed G20 principles on cross-border movement? Our India proposed G20 principles on cross-border movement. And here G20, so 2020 presidency is obviously Saudi Arabia. 2020 theme is realizing opportunities of the 21st century for all. Moving towards the next slide. Punjab government launches iRakwali. So this is the name of the app to make a citizen's greenery savior. So the state name is also very important over here. Moving towards the next slide. So 2 books on Ma Anand Sheela, and if you just observe the pictures what we have here, she is Ma Anand Sheela and she penned the 2 books. The names of the books are Nothing to Lose by Mambina Sandhu and My Story in My Own Words are set to release. Moving towards the next slide. Gurmeet Singh Chauhan's new book. So the name of the book is Inventonomics and Feathering the Ideas to Transform India. This book was penned. end. So the name of the author is also very important over here. Moving towards the next slide, the United Nations Environment Program, that is UNEP, launched a new publication, The Little Book of Green Nudges. So the name of the book, you have to remember why this has been launched: to inspire the students around the globe to adopt the environmentally friendly habits and greener lifestyles. And moving towards the next slide, he is Pannir Selvam Indian. He is the Indian Grandmaster and he won the 48th Annual World Open Chess Tournament. So the addition also very important along with the name of the person over here. Moving towards the next slide. Union Minister of Education launched a free mobile app. So the name of the app is English Pro. Why this has been developed? To develop an Indian English pronunciation in the unique Indian way. This is been launched in Hyderabad over a virtual platform. So this is the app. This is been launched by whom? This is been launched by Ramesh Pokhriyal. Moving towards the next slide. The collision of impossible black holes was detected and directly observed by the Laser Interferometer Gravitational Wave Laboratory and Virgo. So here you have to remember the collision of black holes name, that is impossible. Moving towards the next slide. IIT Delhi incubated a startup, Chakkar Innovation. So they launched Chakkar Deco. So this is the name of the decontaminating device which can decontaminate number, that is 95 masks together. It can reuse up to 10 times. So Ashwini Kumari Choube, who is the minister responsible for the health and the family welfare, launched this. So the name of the device is very important, that is the Chakkar Deco, and it is being launched by Chakkar Innovation, which is the startup of IIT Delhi. Moving towards the next slide. He is Duane Branu and Selton Max. The Man Betting Group confirmed the appointment of this particular person, who is the West Indies cricketer, as the first cricket ambassador of SBO Top, so the flagship sports book brand of Selton Max. So this is very important news over here. So the name of the person, and he is the ambassador of SBO Top, which is the flagship sports book brand of Selton Max. Moving towards the next slide. He is Ayushmann Khurrana and he is the Bollywood actor. He becomes the brand ambassador of Bajaj Allianz Life Insurance Company. Moving towards the next slide. RBL Bank partnered with the M-PES payment system and launched cardless cash withdrawal facility from ATMs through IMT. What is IMT? Instant Money Transfer System. So RBL partnered with the M-PES to offer the cardless cash withdrawal facility from ATMs. So RBL headquarters is in Mumbai, Maharashtra. MD and CEO is Vishwavir Hayuja. M-PES Payment System India Private Limited headquarters is in Mumbai, Maharashtra. Founder and CEO is Ravi Shankar. Moving towards the next slide. Lazy Pay launched the first of its kind digital credit card, Lazy UPI, which is a combination of UPI and buy now pay later concept. So this is the very important thing you have to remember, and you have to know few static GK, that is about the PayU. So PayU headquarters is in Netherlands. CEO is Laurent Le Miol and the CEO of India is Anirban Mukherjee. So we are done with our today's session. In this particular session we discussed very important current affairs of September 1st week, which is very important for the upcoming examinations like RRB, SBI and IBPS. So in my next session I will come up with the next week current affairs. Until then, keep watching, keep learning. Thank you and have a good day.